Hello guys, what is up? My name is Midway and welcome to this video where we are looking at how to kill the Menagerie boss on Tyrannical difficulty as a Holy Paladin in patch 9.2, also happening to play NECRO. This boss is probably the hardest one after the Postmaster in the same dungeon, and it's got a lot of things going on, but the first boss that spawns in the Menagerie is really simple, and that's why we are killing some ads with it. Now these ads will charge to us, so it's not the cleanest, but we managed to get some extra percent done during this boss by just doing that. It's nice if you can pull any trash into any boss, but in this case it makes things quite messy because you gotta move out a lot, so people are spread out and you take extra damage from the charges. This first boss is pretty plain and simple, just get out of melee whenever the AoE happens and just don't get hit by any of the swirlies on the ground. There's not much to say about this one. It is the easiest one and you just want to kill it as soon as possible. Make sure that ideally you never have this one up and the next boss up at the same time, but yeah, it's very simple boss. Just use all CDs and kill it down. Nothing going on, no healing really to be done so long as nobody fails the mechanic. You kind of want to ignore all the debuffs that you can and your frames if that's the case, like in my UI, but regardless, whenever you get to the second boss, you want to make sure that you are dispelling people that are standing on melee so that they can still DPS the boss. You will always get targeted by that debuff that blows up after a couple seconds, and you're just gonna have to take it. You're just gonna have to rotate your personal and Debo or even Bubble. And here I had nothing, and yeah, just died. I dispelled somebody else. I probably should have dispelled myself in that case, where you just have nothing. But ideally, you will not die to those things like that. You will not fall behind, and you are able to take all the debuffs. Ideally, so like the uptime on the boss for your melees is 100%. But yeah, you can do it if you are like that. Like I said, rotating personal and then Devo and health pot or whatever, and just keep yourself topped. But yeah, other than that, any damage reduction will of course be ideal. Now you are not guaranteed to get the debuff like you saw there, but you will most likely be getting it more often than the rest of the people. Never stand behind the boss if you're like putting it in the corner like here, because you will get nuked into or knocked back into some of the orbs that are stuck back there in the wall. And yeah, if you're not doing it yet, always keep this boss in like a corner or like one of the doors to the sides, because that way all the balls will spawn in like one neat spot, and if you're good enough you will be able to soak a lot of these balls by doing so. Lust is usually good to be popped at the very end, right? The last boss is the one that's kind of the hardest, even though this one is the one that's doing all the damage really. The last boss is the trickiest one to DPS down, and probably the one that's gonna take the longest if you're not playing it clean. So last on that one is probably usually the best idea. On this last boss on Ben's the Golf Fuse, the main thing you look forward to is the pre-freedoms. If you see the target that's gonna get the chains casted on them, you can pre-freedom them, and that way the chains just don't apply. So you can take that away from the fight altogether. Sometimes you will just not have freedom though, and if that's the case, you mess up the timings, well, just DPS them down or have somebody else do them. Good thing to keep in mind on this fight is you can and you should be using Bop offensively, and by that I mean bopping some melee DPS ideally, or some range, whatever, so that they can go and like not take any damage while she is spinning around. So a good idea is for you to ask any people you're playing with, like, who's got damage now, so you can bop them and they can just chill and DPS during that time, ideally so you kill this boss the fastest. But yeah, this boss is just going to be a matter of soaking the balls and making sure it's safe around her and not playing like an idiot like I'm gonna be doing in a couple seconds, where you just think that you're safe and then you just get dragged into the boss and yeah, you just die because you didn't run out far enough. Freedom will not make you run away from the boss faster, and even then, like, what I mean is you really never want to be using freedom for moving away from the soak. I'm not even sure if it like actually prevents you from being gripped inside towards the boss, but even in that case you never want to be using the freedom to prevent that from happening, because you want to be saving it for the breaking the chains. But yeah, there I just didn't move far enough. I didn't have horse, so I just ended up getting myself pulled in way too quick. But yeah, nothing particularly specific about this boss besides the freedom thing. Everything else is just a matter of playing the fight right, and any other class would pretty much play the same. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this showcase, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.